Today I'm going to show you how to clean your Canik METE MC9 micro compact pistol in 4 easy steps. Cleaning a gun like this may be daunting if you've never done it before, but it's really pretty simple. We just want to separate the pieces by field stripping the gun, cleaning each piece, adding a little lube, and putting it back together. It's really pretty simple. All we really need to clean this gun is a good CLP, which is a cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. I use original gun oil because it's non-toxic and it doesn't stink up the place. You'll need some cotton patches that are appropriate for your caliber. In this case, it's 9mm. Some cotton rags, which is just a cut-up t-shirt. These two items come with the gun. This is a bore brush to clean the inside of the barrel. This is a rod to help push some patches through the barrel. I like to use a gun brush with a small and a large brush on it, as well as some cotton swabs. And I like these. They have a pointy end and a regular end for getting in the different areas of the gun. Optionally, you could use a bore snake. I use a Hoppe's 9mm bore snake that helps cut down the time cleaning the barrel. And if your barrel is super dirty, you could opt for using a solvent such as Hoppe's number 9 instead of the CLP for the cleaning part. I like to keep mine in a solvent dispenser. You just press this down and it brings up a little bit of solvent to the top so it doesn't contaminate the rest. Alright, so let's get started with step 1, which is disassembling or field stripping the pistol. So first, always make sure that the gun is completely unloaded. Remove the magazine, lock the slide to the rear, make sure there is no round in the chamber, and no magazine in the firearm. Alright, release the slide. Once you verify that the gun is completely unloaded, point it in a safe direction, press the trigger to release the striker. Hold the gun like this, pull the slide back just a little bit, like that, so you can pull the takedown levers down. The takedown lever on both sides. Hold them both down, push the slide forward just a little bit, and it'll lift up off of the gun. Turn the slide upside down, put pressure on the recoil spring and guide rod to bring it up like that, remove that. Now the barrel will also lift out of the slide. Alright, that was step 1. Let's move on to step 2. We're going to clean each piece of the firearm. Okay, so let's start with the slide. There's a couple of ways you can clean the slide on any handgun. If it's not very dirty, I've only had this out shooting one time. There is a little bit of residue and some other stuff in there. You could just take a dry brush and kind of brush it out. Just clean it up a little bit. Get everywhere that there's a little bit of residue, and you could be done with it at that point. But I like to clean mine pretty well to get them pretty clean. So there's a couple ways to do that. If you have some kind of a gun solvent like a Hoppe's number 9 or something like that, you can just simply get some cotton swabs, take your time. I use a dispenser, but you can just dip it into your container. Just go in and clean all the surfaces with your solvent. And then when you're done that, just get a dry swab and dry it off and remove all that solvent, and you're going to get the dirt up that way. So that's one way to do it. You just go over all the surfaces where there's any kind of sediment or where there's any kind of dirt. Do it that way. The way I like to do it, to clean the entire slide, I'll take some original gun oil and I'll just put a couple of drops in there, and then I'll take a brush and just spread that around. Spread that around to all the surfaces, especially in the slide cuts along the inside of the slide, because this is where it slides back and forth on the frame. So I just want to get this oil in there, since it's a cleaner and a lubricant. Just going to get it in there, coat all the surfaces, get it in there, get all the surfaces wet with the gun oil, let it sit for a few minutes, and then use a cotton rag to wipe everything down. This will get all the gun oil off and all the dirt. You can see the dirt coming up with that. and then just wipe it that way. Now you can't get into really tight spaces with just a cloth, so what I do is I lay the cloth over there and use the brush, and the brush bristles will push the cloth down into all the tight spaces. And this is just going to help get all that sediment, get all the dirty oil and all the residue out of there. Okay, that works pretty well, and then you're going to finish it up with a cotton swab. Just get into all the tight spots with the cotton swab. You especially want to get into the slide cuts on both sides. Make sure that they're nice and clean. And then just get all the rest of oil wiped up. Just get all the rest of the oil wiped up until it's all clean inside. Just one word of caution is this is the breech face here. This hole is where the firing pin comes in and out to fire the round, so you don't want to drip any oil into this hole. It's okay to get some on the surface, but you don't want to drip anything into that hole. And then you just want to make sure you get that nice and clean. Okay, so when you're done cleaning the slide, it should look somewhat like this. This is pretty clean on the inside. Got all the residue out of there and any sediment. You can blow it out and make sure there's no no pieces of cotton swab in there. Okay, now we just want to do the outside of the slide. What I would normally do on the outside of the slide is take one drop of CLP on a rag, something like that, and then just kind of wipe down the outside of the slide with a little tiny bit of oil. That's going to clean it up pretty nice. Get the front here. You're always going to get some residue on the front here, so get that cleaned up real good. Alright, comes up looking pretty good. Alright, this looks real nice. Alright, let's move on to cleaning the barrel. Alright, I'm just going to show you the inside of the barrel here, zoomed in. You got a little bit of crud build up in there. You can see how that is. So we're going to get that all cleaned up. Alright, so the Canik manual tells you to clean the barrel by taking the included brush, or a brush that is, or a 9mm brush, dampen it with some CLP. So we're going to dampen the brush with some of this CLP. Get it nice and damp, and then we're going to push it through back and forth a couple of times. Get some CLP in there to start loosening up the dirt. Alright, then we're going to take the cleaning rod, and you're going to want to get some 9mm cleaning patches, which are 2 inches by 2 inches for most cotton cleaning patches. Put that through the cleaning rod, and then we're going to push that through a bunch of times. Alright, that's not too bad. A little bit dirty. This is going to be pretty quick. Then I'm going to take the brush, I'm going to clean the brush off a little bit with a cotton rag. Going to put a little more CLP on the brush. Alright, and then we're going to do it again. Push it through a couple of times. Alright. Take another rag, feed it through the loop. force that through there. And just repeat that until it comes out pretty clean. That's not too bad. I'm going to call that good. Take another look through the barrel here. Boy, I think that looks real good. Alright, that's looking real good. Alright, I'm good with that. Alright, after you're done cleaning the inside of the barrel, just wipe down the outside of the barrel real good. Make sure you clean the feed ramp here. That's very important. That's where the rounds get pushed up into the barrel when you're shooting it. Alright. That barrel nice and clean. Alright. Let's see, that's looking good. Alright, and that's all we need to do with the barrel. It doesn't really address the recoil spring and guide rod. What I usually do for these is just get a brush and just brush them clean real quick. It doesn't hurt to put one tiny little drop of oil on the brush just to get a little residue of gun oil on there. And that's all you need to do. Alright, that's it for the recoil spring and guide rod. Okay, so now we're going to clean the frame. So on the frame you have a couple of options here. If it's not too dirty, you can just brush it with a soft nylon brush, clean it out that way, get any residue off that you want. Or if it's a little bit dirtier, you can use your dispenser and your solvent. You can use a solvent to kind of clean it up with a swab and then wipe it off with the dry swab. Or you can use my gun oil CLP method, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to put a couple of drops, not a lot, just a couple drops in here, and just kind of spread those cleaning drops around a little bit inside the mechanism. Get down inside there a little bit. Just kind of get things kind of wet with the solvent. Then take a rag and dry that off. Try and get all that solvent off that you just put on there. And again, to get down into the tight spaces, you can use your brush to kind of push the rag down in there. To get the tight spaces, get your cotton swab in there. Just clean it until you get all the residue off of there. You get all the cleaner removed that you put in there. Alright, just go over the whole gun and get everything cleaned up. That looks real good. On the exterior, you can do like we did on the slide. Just take one drop of CLP on a rag. Just kind of wipe the exterior. Anywhere you see some residue, unburned powder, that kind of stuff. Just keep wiping it till you get it nice and clean. Looks like we got this pretty clean. I'd say that's quite clean and ready to go. Alright, now let's clean the magazine on the Canik METE MC9. Magazines don't generally need to be cleaned very often. You can just wipe them down, make sure that the follower moves up and down, make sure everything's clean there. If you have dropped the magazine on the ground in the gravel or the dirt, and you feel like there might be some dirt inside, it's important that you do get that out of there to make sure the magazine functions. So to open up the magazine, it's pretty simple. To disassemble this magazine, this pin in the bottom needs to be pressed, but you can't just press it because it's got a little lip on it. So you do have to kind of push it toward the front of the magazine, push it toward the front maybe with a fingernail, and then press down with a pin punch and then push it off the front like that. Make sure you put your thumb over top as you take this off, because there is a spring in there. So you pull that off, and now you have this base plate pushed up by the spring. So it goes like that. Then you can pull everything out. The follower is attached to it. So it goes in this way. Then you can just wipe everything down. What I like to do to clean the inside of these is just take a rag and push it through. Push it through, and that'll get rid of any kind of dirt or gravel that might have gotten in there that you need to get out. You don't want to get any oil inside the magazine, because if it gets on your ammo it could cause problems. So just wipe everything down. You can wipe the spring down or use a brush if it's really dirty. This one's pretty clean. And then you just put it back together the same way you took it apart. Insert that in here. Always make sure that you wear eye protection when dealing with springs. Press this down, hold it down kind of with your thumb, then take the base plate, line up the base plate notches with the side notches like that. Once you get it on part way, keep your thumb over there. Then you're going to need to press that down a little as you bring this up to here, and it should snap into place. And make sure your follower moves up and down, and make sure it looks like that with the little catch here. This is what holds your slide open when the magazine is empty, and that's all you need to do for the magazine. Alright, so now let's move on to step 3, which is lubrication. Okay, step 3 is lubrication. The Canik METE MC9 does not need a lot of lubrication. So the manual just says to put a light coating of CLP on the rails and a couple other places. So I'm just going to, rather than drip any in there, I'm just going to put a drop of CLP on a rag, and I'm going to put some on the rails, these 4 rails here. That's where the slide moves back and forth. I'm just going to wipe them with a little CLP to make sure there's some lube on there. The trigger bar, which is this whole piece here, I would also get a little coating on there, and all the other metal parts in here, I would just lightly coat them with a little CLP, just so everything's got a little coating on it. So that's about it for the frame. Now the slide, we want to do the same. What I would do in these slide cuts here, where it slides along the frame, I would put one tiny, like a half a drop of oil in each slide. Take a brush and just run it up and down, and then I would take a rag and wipe off all the excess. Just wanted to get some in there. Then I would do the same right here, put a drop in there, and just kind of lightly wipe it off to leave the residue on there. And down in here where the barrel slides around, put a drop, and then just kind of wipe them away, just leaving a little residue there. All right, and a little bit around here where the barrel slides through. And that is about it for lubrication. It also recommends wiping the outside of the slide with a little bit of oil. Again, I would just put a little bit on a rag. You don't want it to be slippery, but you do want a little corrosion resistance, so I would just put the tiniest bit on the outside like that, and you should be good to go as far as lubrication. Alright, now we're going to move on to step 4, which is reassembly. So it's pretty simple to reassemble. Hold the slide upside down, hold the barrel in this orientation, drop the barrel in so it sits just like that. The recoil spring and guide rod goes in this way. This side goes into the hole in the front, and then press it back and let it sit down. Then put a little tension on it and let it sit down right in the notch there. So it's sitting just like that, parallel to the slide. Okay, and the Canik METE MC9 goes together a little differently than most semi-automatics. You put the slide on all the way from the front and you slide it back. This one goes on about midway, so you want to line up this little notch here with this rail. So line them up like that until that sits on just like that with no gap here, and then just run it straight back all the way and forward again. Now you're all together. Your slide should work just like that. Okay, now you are all set. Your gun is all clean in 4 easy steps. The next thing is to do a quick function and safety check. There really isn't one in the Canik manual for this gun, but I have a video to show just some quick checks that you can do to make sure your gun is operating properly. Alright, if you found this video helpful, please hit like below, please subscribe, please check out the description for all the products that we used in the video, and thanks for watching.